Rejoice all the MMA fans, our very own has won. Francis Ngannou went into the world of boxing for his boxing debut and defeated the lineal champion of the world. That wouldn't happen the other way. No boxer is coming into MMA for his debut, beating the world champion. That would never happen. You could even bring the heavyweights, which have a better shot at winning than the other lighter weight classes, right? Bring in Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk and make them fight John Jones. It would never happen. They would get slaughtered in the first round, let alone winning a decision. I think the debate is over. This long few decades of a debate about MMA versus boxing, at this point when it comes to who can cross over and have success, it's clearly MMA fighters having more success in boxing than the other way around. Boxers don't really come to MMA as often, but we did see a couple try, and it's easy to understand why. It's just a lot of boxing fans have not acknowledged it. MMA fighters box, man. They boxed all the time. They do it for MMA, which is a bit of a different thing, but they still practice a lot of what boxers practice. So it's a no-brainer they can cross over and do better in their sport than the other way around. It's something MMA fans have been preaching for a long time, and finally, it's proven to be true. I mean, it was proven true with Anderson defeating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but now Francis Ngannou is deemed not only one of the best heavyweight MMA fighters, but he is also one of, if not the best heavyweight boxer on the planet as we speak. Give it up to Francis Ngannou. The guy should be very proud. I know a lot of his fans are very proud of him. He really did bet on himself. He really believed in himself the whole way through since the beginning. Coming from where he came from, traveling to France from Cameroon, getting into a gym, going through the MMA scene, losing to Stipe, coming back, evolving himself, winning the belt against that same opponent, and then business-wise, everybody doubted him. He got one of the best deals you can get, crossed over into boxing, and defeated their lineal champion. Francis Ngannou's story is a W the whole way through. The more this guy does, the more this guy succeeds, the more I want to see that documentary or that movie about his life. And there's still a lot more he wants to do. After a performance like that, we might see Ngannou fight in boxing even more. We might see him fight Deontay Wilder now. We might see him fight Anthony Joshua. And you know what? He can beat all these guys. He honestly can. Nobody thought he could beat Tyson Fury, right? I know there's still going to be some people saying, okay, we can slow down. But why slow down on Ngannou's chances when he just beat Tyson? This is the guy he was not supposed to beat. Out of all the heavyweights, this is the guy he had the least amount of chance of beating. Deontay Wilder is a big puncher, but it looks like Ngannou is more technical than Wilder, which is something I've said before. I've mentioned this before, that Ngannou should be more technical than Deontay Wilder. Just looking at the way they throw punches and their footwork especially. He can absolutely beat Deontay Wilder, and I would even bet if there were odds on this, Ngannou would be the favorite going into it. I mean, Ngannou was the favorite toward the end of the fight against Tyson Fury. I think he could beat Anthony Joshua. The guy has a good enough chin to take those kind of punches and deliver back. Anthony Joshua doesn't have the best chin, and that's enough for Francis to flatline him with one big shot. Alexander Usyk is a difficult matchup, of course, but at least Ngannou has the size for him and the one-punch knockout ability. Boxing got a whole lot more interesting because of Francis Ngannou. I went and tried to do a scoring video for it, and it's very hard. It's way too difficult with how subjective the boxing scoring system is. If you guys thought the MMA scoring system was very subjective, boxing scoring systems is like 5 times more subjective. It is nearly impossible to make a breakdown of who won the fight by scoring it accurately, like punch for punch, misstrike by misstrike, because they don't only look at what punch lands, they look at defense. So all the punches that you block, slip, and parry, they also look at effective aggression. So who's throwing, landing his punches without getting countered. They're also looking at ring generalship, which is the most subjective on all of this criteria. Who is controlling the action? A fighter could be controlling while moving backwards as they are moving forward. It's quite difficult to exactly pinpoint who has more ring generalship by the mere seconds and all of that stuff. So I do have the main points, and I did conclude subjectively that I do believe Ngannou won the 7th round, which I think ultimately the fight goes down to. Look at what the judges scored this fight. We now know exactly how the judges scored it and which rounds they gave each fighter. The first judge from Mexico, forget what he says, the guy's high. 96-93 is one of the most ridiculous scorecards in recent time. There's no way Tyson Fury won 96-93. He could have won 95-94. That could be understandable. but also Ngannou could have won 95-94. I could even potentially see a draw with how close the 7th round was. Every round seemed to be agreed upon. I think the second round, there's some people saying that Ngannou could have won that one as well. I can agree with it too. I think it's very close. I think the 7th round could have been a draw, but I ultimately did give it to Ngannou for landing the biggest punch in that round. He did land a left straight that glanced, but it did get a big reaction out of Tyson Fury. Easily the biggest punch of the round by reaction. If you look at what kind of reaction the blow got out of this opponent, that left straight from Ngannou was the biggest. They each landed like 10 or 11 strikes, very close with the total amount of strikes landed. And when it comes to defense, it did look like Tyson Fury defended more shots than Francis Ngannou overall. If you guys want to look back at it on your own, remember that the feints and some of the distractions that Tyson Fury specifically throws forward when he's constantly like throwing his lead hand out there, and Ngannou did it a couple times as well, those are not strikes meant to land. So you don't really count those as strikes defended. You know, and more importantly, you have to look at what is intentionally defended. What is the fighter blocking? What is the fighter parrying? And what is he slipping? If the punch gets thrown and the opponent's defense had nothing to do with the punch missing, it's not going to count. When it came to ring generalship, it did look like Francis Ngannou may have had that criteria for him, but it's very, very close, super subjective criteria right there. Who was controlling the action of the fight? Ngannou had like the bigger control, but it looked like Tyson may have had more amount of control. You know what I'm saying? The times that Ngannou was controlling the action, it was a lot heavier. You know what I'm saying? It was like he had more of a grip of the fight when he was in control. Whereas where Tyson Fury was controlling, it was a lot of like throwing feints and Ngannou just reacting to them. Or he would like take a step forward and Ngannou would back up, stuff like that. But when you look at Ngannou's control of that round, he was getting Tyson Fury moving back a lot, and I think the threat of that power had a major impact at that, but it's very, very close. And when we talk about effective aggression, this seems to have gone to Francis Ngannou a lot more clearly than the ring generalship did. Effective aggression, it looked like Ngannou was the bigger aggressor, so because he was the bigger aggressor in the round, and he landed the bigger punches, I do think that he may have won that 7th round, but with the boxing criteria, who really knows? It doesn't even say what they look above the other. Which criteria trumps the other, you know what I'm saying? Defense might be the biggest thing. It just doesn't say. I'm taking it that they're all equal. If they're all equal, honestly make that 7th round a draw. That's my opinion on it. If they're all equal, the 7th round should be a draw. Just how I believe the 2nd round could also be a draw, which would make Ngannou ultimately the victor of the fight. But regardless if Ngannou won the fight on the decision or not, he won regardless. He was not supposed to do that well. He was not supposed to win that many rounds. He was not supposed to knock Tyson Fury to the ground. He was not supposed to have the bigger moments of the fight. When you look at the highlights, it's going to have more Ngannou moments. And because of that, in a lot of people's eyes, Francis Ngannou is going to walk away as the winner. The public saw Ngannou defeat the best heavyweight boxer on the planet and one of the best heavyweight boxers of all time. Yo, who stayed up for all that broadcasting though? 5 hours after the main card started, we had to wait until the main event. 5 hours! Man, I could have taken a nap, go to the gym, eat, take a shower, go hang out with friends a bit, come back, and then watch the fights. That's how much time they wasted. Before the main event, there was a total amount of 30 minutes. 30 minutes of fights. And then 4 hours of commentators talking, promos like crazy, Tyson Fury sleeping, Ngannou shadow boxing in the back, musical performances. Lil Baby was out there. I'm not too much of a fan of Lil Baby's music. Stormzy, is that the British rapper? Stormzy? He showed up twice. Apparently Skrillex was supposed to be there, but I didn't see him. I appreciated Becky G. And then here comes Francis Ngannou with a very good walkout. He was sitting on the throne, his coaches on his side, the Cameroonian flags all over the place. It was an epic entrance, man. Really, really cool. And then Tyson Fury comes out. It looks like it's going to be another good entrance, but then he takes his time. I thought he was going to start like dancing in the center there. You see how the whole thing's like laid out? I thought there was going to be a spotlight on him and he's going to start dancing and stuff, but he took forever to walk to the ring. And then after, you got 3 national anthems, Michael Buffer taking his time, and then finally the fight starts. I was losing my mind with how long that took. And we didn't expect the fight to happen that late. How often did they change the timer on when they were going to start making their walkouts? At one point, they said 50 minutes. 30 minutes into that, now the timer says another 50 minutes. It's like, wait, We just waited a half hour. Why is it back up to 50? Why does the timer keep getting set back? And then you guys remember when Ngannou was supposed to walk out, his song was playing, the flags were waving, his name was on the screen, and Ngannou just wasn't coming out. I swear, I thought the fight was canceled. I thought there was going to be news, Ngannou like got injured in the back or something. But honestly, it was all worth it to see Ngannou pull it off against Tyson Fury like that. And honestly, I'm always going to remember this fight as if Ngannou won. It's one of those, right? It's like Dominic Reyes beat John Jones. Triple G beat Canelo the first time they fought. Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder the first time they fought. It's like one of those fights where you move on, and every time you remember the fight, you know who the real winner was. God bless Ngannou, man.